Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Synchronicity Podcast. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Megan.
And we work in Change Your Brain to Change Your Life. We take old programming of what you were taught in childhood and we give you new ways of looking at life because not everything we were taught was correct. If you want more information, check out our website, synchronicity222.com, or of course our Instagram, synchronicity_sisters, to find a lot more other content.
Or just stick around on the podcast and watch more of these crazy videos with the two of us. And always, if you have any requests, please put them in the comments. We try to do those to the best of our ability. But we know lots of things. So today, we're going to talk about communication and masculine versus feminine. And for masculine, it is what you say because the male brain is logical. And for feminine, it's how you say it because the female brain is emotional and about connection. So we're going to dive into that because this is why there's so many miscommunications in men and women, especially in today's world, is because we're trying to make men women and women men. And, you know, there's this thing in today's culture and society that's saying like that men can be women and women can be men and it doesn't matter, you can choose. That's actually not true. On a scientific level, I don't care who you're sleeping with, who you choose to be in a relationship with, but I do care about the brains, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all of those things affect communication, whether we like it or not. So, you know, what you were born as is the brain that you developed in utero, and that is how you are going to communicate. And like we have said before, right-handed men have one neurological connection between the two lobes. Women have two neurological connections between the two lobes. So what you were born as is the brain that you have, and you have to take that into account when you are communicating. So just so you know.
And left-handed men fall into the category with women.
Left-handed men have brains of women.
Yes.
There was a 1977 Nobel Prize won by Robert Sperry on the subject. Don't know why more people don't talk about this. Actually, if they took this into the government today and were like, yo, look at this. Be like, oh, wait, like, weird. Testosterone does stuff to your brain. It actually damages the brain.
Yes.
In utero at week 6. So, you know, surprise, surprise, that changes everything. The female brain is actually more advanced. You know, it didn't receive that androgen path at week 6, so it keeps its two neurological connections. And for whatever reason, left-handed men's brains get protected and they think like women. So left-handed men are always naturally effeminate because their brains are actually feminine. Our dad is one of them. And for some weird reason, you and mom always date left-handed men too. Well, not always, but like the majority of your exes were left-handed, which is so interesting to me.
Yeah. Most of them are.
Yeah.
For the most part.
So anyway, in the left-handed men, like for whatever reason, when I was in aviation too, like a lot of pilots are left-handed.
Yeah.
Like all of my pilots were left-handed, I think, other than one, which is absolutely crazy. But when I spoke to them, it was like talking to a girl because they can think and feel simultaneously versus a right-handed man is either thinking or feeling, which is just so wild. But what this philosophy is actually based on, right? Like masculine is what you say is actually Eric Berne. He wrote an entire book called Intuition and actually was kicked out of Sigmund Freud's class because of that book. But it talks about this in that book. And it follows along with what they later then found in the male brain of having one neurological connection or problem solving mode. And when you say something logically and direct and you say what you mean and mean what you say, then a man can fix it. For a woman who stays longer in the MSN part of the brain, which is the emotional part of the brain, which is for connection, empathy, compassion, those kinds of things, it's how you say it. You know, it's just so fascinating because it's so true. I can be so like blunt and direct with a man, but if I said that to one of my girlfriends, they'd probably like start crying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially if they're betas. My beta friends, I have to be like, it's okay. I have to be so much softer than I am with like you or any of like the alpha women I know because I can just
Direct.
essentially be a man and it's fine. But with the men I want to date or my beta friends, I have to like be softer about how I'm communicating and be very aware of that.
Well, and it's crazy, like the women we work with, majority of them, like they will just like go at it with all of their feelings. Like they'll go to their man with all of this, like how, like they'll just start dumping on them, and like the guys are like, the women will be like, they're not receptive, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll be like, okay, well, what did you say? And it's like exactly what you would say to your girlfriend, and it's like, no, let's back it up. It's exactly what you say when you're coming from directness, and like you said, like it's making I statements. I feel, I don't want, like being so direct with a man that like it's almost like there's no transparency whatsoever.
Well, and that's why you don't ask men questions. You just make statements, because statements are logical, questions are more emotional.
Yeah. So, it's, and the easiest way I would say is to break this down is exactly what Megan just said. Masculine, make statements. What is happening in your brain? What is going on? What is the problem? What do you need from him? Mm-hmm. Feminine, it's like, okay, when the masculine is talking to her, how are you feeling? Mm-hmm. How was your day? How are you, whatever. Like being in that more softer aspect of kind of digging deeper. And also like being aware of how you're going about it. Because so many people, and Megan and I have done a lot of like reading and looking into this in regards to like tonality of voices, because like depending on what octave you are depends on like you can literally surpass people's consciousness.
Well, that's NLP.
Yeah. So neuro I always get
neurolinguistics. I don't know. Programming. Neurolinguistic programming.
Yeah, and this is like what they have done a lot of research in regards to how like subliminal messaging works and how NLP actually calculates into the everyday world. And we see it a lot with social media. We see it with advertising. We see it with commercials. And it's a part of psychology. And so when you're using a certain tone, like if you're coming out with someone who's like so vile and angry, like that's a tone, depending upon how or what you're saying, can completely change the entire situation in an argument. We've all been in that argument where you're like screaming and no one's listening.
Well, nobody should scream it. Yeah. I mean, I learned that the hard way. But it's also, it goes into like what you say, challenge, how you say it, encouragement, and masculine functions off challenge, feminine functions off encouragement. So if I'm at work and I need something to get done, I make, a statement of this needs to be done at this time. How are we going to get it done? Yep. Period. Versus, if I'm with my significant other and I'm in my feminine, I go, hey babe, can I ask you a question? Is now a good time? Like you're guiding them into, the masculine leads, the feminine guides, and a guide asks for permission to make a suggestion, to nag, to preach, to teach, any of those things. If not, like it's essentially he's driving the car and you're the front seat princess. I don't care if he is in Nebraska and you're supposed to be in South Dakota. Keep your mouth shut. And, or you can say, hey, baby, or whatever his name is. I just use baby because it's generic. But, can I make a suggestion? Or, do you want me to look something up on the maps and kind of see where we're going? I would be happy to be of assistance. But you're not going to be like, oh, this drives me insane. Sitting in a car with a couple or like some of the people that we know, bless you. And, they're like, you're going the wrong direction. You could have turned there. You could go this way. Oh, why did you take that turn? What did you do? And I'm sitting there just like,
and you'll literally
shut up.
Practice it with your friends first. Because I literally caught myself yesterday. I was going to lunch with a friend of mine, and a guy friend of mine, and he took the longest flipping way to get there. And like in my head, I was like, where are we going?
Not your problem.
And I just was like, la la la, like in my head.
Along for the
literally
ride.
In my head, I was like, why are we going this way? Like this is the longest,
doesn't matter,
not fastest way possible. But, and you have to like catch yourself doing that. Like, oh wait, I don't know better. So and I don't have my foot on the gas pedal. I got my seatbelt on and I'm just chilling.
Well, I mean, there's 1,000 ways to get to a destination.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is your way better than theirs? And when you become nobody, male or female, likes a know-it-all. That's why, like, I'm not going to drive the car when I'm with a man that I'm dating because he's going to try to be controlling it. And that's normal. So, men want to be the leader. They don't want to be the front seat princess if they're actually in their masculine. So it makes sense that they'd be like, well, turn there, do this. And it's like, no, I would rather just be in the front seat with my coffee and like they can figure it out, because that's being in their feminine, right? Feminine isn't trying to control or dictate. And like it's such a thing in women today that we think we know better and we like want to control and do this and that. And I don't know anybody that feels good to, like, even when I'm driving, and my mom will be like, well, you could have gone, like, where are you doing? Where are you going? Like, I get annoyed and I'm not even a man. So it's like, well, do you want to drive? Like, and I actually say
People
that
get so
quite a
mad.
lot. It's just like, if you want to drive and be in control, then drive. Like, don't sit there when you aren't driving and dictate like what's going on. You can ask, like, I know sometimes when we're driving, because you can space out, you'd be like, do you know where we're going? Or do you want a suggestion on like how to get there faster? Like, you can ask.
We were driving somewhere the other day and this totally happened.
Yeah. I mean,
I was like, where are we going?
But
what's happening?
But it's just so wild to really understand like how out of control people have gotten. And there's just so much like narcissistic behavior in our society of like thinking that, but there's just a lot of egotism.
Yes.
Of thinking that you know better, that you do it better, that, it's just essentially a know-it-all. And that's one of the things in childhood that probably was accurate that we were taught. Like, nobody likes a know-it-all.
No.
And it's true. Like, just shut up.
Well, and if you're going to say something, it's like you said, know your audience.
Yeah.
Like, I so often, like, at work, we are definitely all about statements and like questions. We have a way different dynamic than most work relationships because, one, we're siblings, but two, we understand this work and we understand how to communicate and like how the brain works and all that stuff. So like, if you come at me like, hey, this needs to get done, I'm not taking it personal of like, oh my God, you're attacking me, I missed a deadline. Like, that's not what's happening. It's what is being said and what needs to be done. And men, if you go at them like how to do something, it literally makes their brain like do backflips. They're just like, what do you want from me, woman?
Well, but even like how I speak to you at work of like, this needs to get done. When is this getting done? Okay, right. Thank you. Is totally different than when which is masculine to masculine.
Yes.
Because that's both of our masculine energies. So I don't have to be sensitive about your feelings. So it's what I say to you.
Right.
But like in more of our sister lives and not our business partner life, I ask you how you feel. And it's very like soft and like, do you want to talk about it? Are you open to talking about it?
Yeah.
It's very encouraging and more focused on like how I'm saying something and holding space than I am at work of like, this needs to get done at this time. Are you going to be able to do it? Or do I need to step in and do it? It's a totally different energy.
Yep.
And it's being aware of those things, because if you're 20% of the alpha population, you have to be aware, and it eventually becomes second nature. Like now I just kind of do it naturally. And if I'm with an alpha guy, I don't even question. I just kind of drop into my feminine. But it used to be a lot more of a challenge. But it's once you develop it, it's kind of like a muscle or like working out. Then it just kind of, what energy to be in, when to be in it. But you have to develop balance and you have to develop understanding. And how you do that, the muscle that has to be learned how to be flexed is communication, because we switch from masculine to feminine energy based on how we're communicating. And that's absolutely huge. And it's most important for women. So men, I mean, it's great to develop this too, of like asking questions and being curious and, really supporting the feminine. But men tend to not struggle with this the same way that women do, and it's because we're so raised like hyper independent feminism of man hate that there's in our unconscious it has been developed to, you know, that men have suppressed us and blah blah blah, and the man hate comes out in our communication skills or like how we speak about men, and it's not cute. And a lot of women don't even realize they're doing it. And, you know, I didn't realize for a long time. And I had to really like understand that even though men aren't outwardly sensitive like we are, they are internally.
Very.
And it is very, very important how you speak to a man. And I know we say this like a million times, but women have to feel good to do good, and men have to do good to feel good. And so when you're, you know, it's what you say to a man. When you're telling him, baby, I love when you do this, you're telling him he's doing good so that he feels good. You know, it's not asking him how he feels or how his day was or da 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 da. He may want to share that with you, but it's telling him, like, I really appreciate you as a man. I love when you do this. I love when you do that. You're telling him he's doing good, which makes him feel good. So feelings are secondary, but how we're communicating, like what he's achieving and how he's doing is making him feel good. And for women, right, that are feminine, it's opposite, right? I love when a man like asks me how I'm feeling, asks me how my day was, you know, like how'd you feel about what you did today and things like that. That makes me feel good. And then I do good in the relationship, right? Like I want to be of service and spend time with him because I feel good. And so we come at it in opposite energies. And so men need to ask questions and women need to make statements to their man of like how they're doing. It also challenges them to continue to do better, because how we treat somebody actually directly reflects how they interact with us. Because when we're giving somebody, you know, positive reinforcements and things like that, and there's a really good book by Daniel Siegel called Brainstorm that really talks about this, you know, when you believe in somebody and you give them that trust and that admiration and that love, it makes them want to be a better person. We were taught shame as children, and shaming somebody into being a better person and just kind of like really discouraging, which kind of destroyed our femininity that we had to like redevelop, because shaming male or female is actually not great.
Well,
and then
it also creates like a superiority complex within the relationship, and then it just like destroys it from the inside out.
Yeah, you don't want to start competing in a relationship. That's when shit hits the fan.
Gets real wild, real fast. But pretty much make statements to your masculine, like, this feels good. I don't want this. I appreciate you for that. Like statements.
Feminine, ask questions.
Feminine, yeah, masculine to feminine, ask questions.
Cherish her feelings.
See what's going on. Stay, you know, because that'll also keep you in tune with what you can do to help her feel better.
Yeah.
And then you feel like, oh, I'm doing something to make her feel good. And then she feels good, so she does good. So it's this beautiful ebb and flow. But this topic is kind of like an all the time. We're always talking about communication of masculine and feminine.
Everything's communication.
We really just wanted to break it down that masculine is what you say, feminine is how you say it. Mm-hmm. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. Leave a comment if there's anything that you would love for us to touch on. Apple and Spotify, if you're listening over there, please like the show, share the show. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, we're always available at synchronicity_sisters. We don't use any robots or anything. It's always us, one of us. We normally get back to you within 48 hours. And until next time.
Bye.
Bye.